Herschel Walker, I hope you're having a great day, sir. Welcome back to T-Town.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me on, and I think that will be great news. If they vote yes, I think that'll be awesome.
It will be. And you know, the Big Ten yesterday, getting a chance. And Herschel, we watch a 3.5-hour game on Saturday, but these players have busted their butt to be ready to play for the upcoming season. When SEC fans take up for the Big Ten, you know that they kind of got done wrong, and it's good to see them back.
It is great to see them back. You know, these are young men that, this could be the beginning of the rest of their life. And I said early on, and people can say what they want to say, I said, how in the world can you think that a young man being at a university with some of the greatest doctors in the world and being in a controlled environment, not in a safe environment? There are some tough things that are going on in this country, but this is one of the safest environments you can be in right now.
Well, when you look at the medical facilities, whether, you pick an SEC school, go on campus, take a look at the trainers, take a look at the facilities. It's simply amazing. We have a lot of NFL guys that come back to Tuscaloosa, and I'm sure it's this way anywhere you go, just to come back and train during the offseason because of the facilities and the equipment and the trainers and everything else that they're provided.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why I spoke out and said, I think when they first talked about canceling the season, I said, guys, you're with some of the best doctors in the world. You're in a controlled environment. Think of if a person was at home, the kind of care he's going to be taken care of. Here, you got doctors that are going to be tested, twice a week. You got different things that's going on, and you're in a controlled environment. And I think that's great. And plus, it's the beginning of the rest of your life of certain players, and you can look at some players will tell you that last season may have moved them up in the draft. And I know it's not all about getting drafted into the NFL, but it's also about athletes being the best that they can be and not throwing away their career.
Herschel, when you look at college football currently, we've changed a little bit, but you look at Alabama and you look at some of these teams that like to run the football. Hopefully Sark puts an emphasis back. We've got Najee Harris, got a great set of backfields, a great offensive line. But is there anything better than running with the ball between the tackles? I mean, I'm asking a running back. I know you're biased on this, but is there anything?
I am a little biased, and I've always said you want to run the football. If you want to win championships, you better be able to control that offensive line, better be able to control that line. And the way you can control that line is through running the football. You got to have, and I think the SEC has proven that you got to be able to run the football if you're going to win championships. Most of the SEC teams that have won the SEC championship or the national championship, they've had a pretty good ground game. And I think that's what you got to do. And I encourage all the running backs today to continue on working on running the ball, but also working on catching the ball. I think I want them to go back to the running backs of yesterday, meaning that not just go out on third downs, but stay in the game, play the whole game, play third down as well. So catch passes as well, because that can mean a great deal to a team.
Herschel, is there a running back in the league? You can go to the NFL, you can go to college. Is there somebody that you look at and you say, hey, that guy reminds them of me? It reminds me of me. This is who I see. Is there somebody that reminds you of you?
Well, it's hard to say that. The reason why is, when I played, I played in a different type of offense than a lot of the players are playing today. And I tell you, there are so many talented guys out there today, and this game has totally changed from the day I played. Guys have gotten bigger, they've gotten faster, they got, the physical side of the game has totally changed and stuff. And so it's a little bit different, and it's hard to say. But, I do look at some very, very talented running backs today, and I hate even putting them down, even to say that they remind me of myself, because there's so much talent out there on the field today.
Well, it's a lot of fun. What's the number one characteristics you like to see in a running back? What is the number one characteristic?
Being a football player, and what I mean by that is not caring about whether you get in the ball to run it or not, but being a good blocker, being a guy that can catch the ball, like I was saying early on, being a guy that's not going to go out on third down but staying in the game, seeing a guy that can line up in that slot and run down as a receiver. I had an opportunity to do all those things, and I think I always tell people I wasn't just a running back, but I was a football player where I would do whatever they asked me to do, and I think that's what kept me in the league a long time. I returned kickoffs. I would cover punts. I did all those things, and coach was shocked that I'd do it. And I said, I grew up as a football player. I didn't grow up just as a running back, but I was a football player that played the game.
We're talking to Herschel Walker, 1980s Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Alabama, 1982. When you talk about Herschel Walker, one of the SEC legendary players, Herschel, when you look back at the Big Ten for just a couple of minutes, the politics side of this is a little it's crazy. But we have spoken with some reporters coming out of Ohio. We had Dave Biddle on earlier. He said, I got to think politics was involved in getting the Big Ten canceled. But you look at it from a positive standpoint, politics was involved to get it back.
Politics were very involved in getting it back. This president here, President Trump, became the voice for the voiceless. You had those great players saying they wanted to play, but no one was listening to them. But President Trump called the commissioner there at the Big Ten, and they talked. Not only did he call the commissioner, he called some of the parents, he called some of the players. They had his administration calling, and they stayed in touch to how they can get back to some normalcy. And so politics did get involved a little bit because he became the voice of the voiceless. That's what I've been saying about this president here. He listened to what the people said, and people don't realize that. He's not just a president that just does what he want to do, but he listens to what the people are saying sometimes.
We're talking to Herschel Walker. We're talking about the Big Ten. If you haven't, if you're just now getting back in your vehicle from working all day, the Pac-12 is also being reported that they're going to jump back in the conversation. And, we're glad that we thought we would put two SEC teams in the college football playoffs, but, that Georgia-Alabama game coming up in week number 4 here in Tuscaloosa, we may not be able to get two teams from the SEC. It may just be one team. So I
still think we may be able to get two teams in. I did say at the beginning of the season, I thought Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, they're going to be some strong contenders again. Those are going to be some very, very good teams, very strong teams again. Alabama's always tough. Georgia got a great team coming back. I think Ohio State with Justin Fields has got a great team, and I told everyone I think Justin Fields is going to be he can be the top runner for the Heisman Trophy this year. So I was happy to see them come back and play, because that would have been injustice not to see them. And I've heard so many people say, and they still try to put to politics why they shouldn't be playing, because they didn't like this president. But I'm like this, they got to think about other things that this president has done, and I think they forget about that. And I think playing football is something good. It brings back to normalcy. What about the young kids that's sitting at home that like to just see something just for a little bit, instead of at night you can sit down on Saturdays or Friday nights and see a great football game?
Well, it's great to be able to, like I said, when SEC fans, and we've fielded phone calls all week here talking about the Big Ten and saying, we're glad that it's back. Because you win a championship, you don't want anybody to look back and go, you won it, but there was a couple of the Power Fives that are not playing. You want to remove any doubt that you're the best team in the history, in college football for that particular year.
That's exactly right, because people will say that. So you want to remove all doubts, give everyone a chance to play, and let them step out there. They line up and they see what they can do. And like I said, I love the SEC. I think the national champion again this year come from the SEC, but you got to think about Ohio State. You got to think about Michigan. They're always going to be coached well. Penn State played well last year, and so there's some other teams that And one of the things that I think people need to think about is players can opt out. If a player don't want to play, he can opt out. There's no school that's forcing anyone to play. And, you look at Georgia. Georgia lost an incredible quarterback. He opted out. He said that he'd rather not play. But, they still going to show up on that field ready to play football.
Herschel, tell me a good Vince Dooley story.
It is strange because Coach Dooley, he's a great man, very disciplined guy. And I remember when I first got to the University of Georgia, I remember him sitting all the players down. He said, you look, men, we stay together, we win together, we lose together, we fight together, we're going to be able to win championships. Well, you hear that all the time. But what's strange about the team that I played on is that's how we believe. We believe in living together, staying together, doing everything together, and that's the reason we had such a great run during those years because we were one. We were not two. We were one. And we played like that all the time, and I think that's the reason why is because of the leadership of Coach Dooley.
What was it that made him feel comfortable with you going to UGA?
Say that again?
What was it that made you comfortable with UGA, that you made your final choice and say, hey, I'm going to play for the Dogs in Athens?
Well, you're going to really laugh at this. I was really headed to the military. I really wanted to go to the Marines. I thought I was cut out to be a Marine. I couldn't tell my parents I wanted to go to the military, and I was brought up in a Christian home. And it wasn't until Easter Sunday, which is very, very late for a college athlete to sign during those times. They normally sign early in February. Well, during Easter Sunday, my mom came up to me, and my nickname is Bo, and she said, Bo, don't you think it's time for you to decide whether you want to go to school? And before I can say anything, she said, but let me tell you this. If your mind and your heart is pure of the Lord Jesus, it really don't matter about your decision because God will make it right for you. And I flipped a coin to decide whether to go to the military or go to college, and it came up for me to go to college. Then I flipped a coin between three schools, the University of Georgia, Clemson, and USC out in California. And Clemson won that coin toss, and that's how I ended up at the University of Georgia.
How about that? And you're still involved with the military. You still do some great things to support our folks and troops.
I am. I'm very involved with the military. Every 3 weeks I was at a base somewhere in the world talking about to our military service men and women about there's no shame to ask for help. Those are our true heroes right there. The military, those servicemen and women are our true heroes. Our first responders are our true heroes. People need to recognize that those people put it on the line every day to keep this country the way it was. This country was built on law and order, and because our military is the reason we're the best country in the world, because our police, our firemen, our nurses, our doctors, that's the reason we're still the best country in the world, because of people like that.
Herschel, when you look back at your talk at the RNC a couple of weeks ago, what do you say to people who disagree with you? The criticism that you get, I mean, not everybody's going to side. I mean, we live in the greatest country in the world because of the military. As you're sitting there, you can have a different opinion. You don't have to have the same opinion. But the criticism that you took, some of it was fair, some of it was unfair. What do you say to those critics that said, well, I don't agree with what Herschel Walker said? What do you say to them?
Well, I think that, as you said earlier on, that's what's great about America. You can agree to disagree, and that's what I wish people would do today and stop the violence. But at the same time, when I decided to speak at the convention, it had nothing to do. Like President Trump didn't ask me to speak. No one asked me to speak. The reason I decided to speak is I want to tell the truth. I've known President Trump for 37 years. Not a matter of fact, he's eaten at my home. I've eaten at his home. His kids. I've kept his kids so many times. Every amusement park, Disney World, SeaWorld place they went, I took them. My family took them. They were with me. So I knew a lot about him, and I just want to understand people just the truth about what was going on. And I think that's what it ended up being, is I wanted them to know the truth, and whether they like it or not, it really didn't matter to me. I just wanted them to know the truth.
Herschel, if you could put your arm around players in college football, what advice would you give them? You know how to handle the fame that comes with playing at a high level. You know what it's like to win a Heisman Trophy, to be at the top of the college football side of thing. What would you tell them? What advice would you tell them?
Well, I would tell an athlete, first of all, get your grades first. Your grades are very, very important. I want to see you be a student athlete, and that student comes first. So that'll be one of the first things I tell them is get your grades first. And then I just tell them that, that you got to believe in yourself. You believe in yourself. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got to believe in yourself. You got to work hard. And one thing about it is, I don't believe in everybody gets a trophy. I'm not in that type of belief. I'm not in that belief that, grades doesn't count. It does count. I'm not in the belief that, everybody are winners. That's not true. You got to work for what you get. I believe in teaching a guy to fish rather than giving him a fish. So you got to work. And if your opponent is getting up at 4 in the morning, you get up at 3, he get up at 3, you get up at 2, he get up at 2. You don't go to sleep. That if you want it. If you don't want it, you don't have to work to get it. Do something else. But I believe in getting out, working hard, because I think you appreciate it a little bit more. And I think working as a team, we're together. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. He teaches together. He teaches forgiveness. He don't teach violence. He don't teach anything like that. And that's what I believe in.
Herschel, final thing. Can you get my Cowboys and our Cowboys back on track? I was talking with Leroy Jordan last week. I was trying to set it up for a big win. That guy, Mr. Donald, kind of controlled that interior, put a little force on our Cowboys. Can you get them back on the W side of things in Atlanta?
Well, I like to get them back on the W. They need to, because it was tough. And I think they will. They got a good team. This past week was an interesting week. I didn't watch that many games because of everything that was going on, more of the political things that's going on, which I thought politics shouldn't be in sports. But there's a lot of good players there, and I want them to come to the understanding that if they got the right to protest, people got the right not to see the game and stuff, and I think they need to understand that and not get upset because people are not watching, and just remember that.
Herschel Walker, legendary player in the SEC.